They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
She said it out loud years ago and everyone laughed.
Well, honey, if those Epstein files show politicians and big shots and innocent children, then I say they ought to be castrated like the dirty dogs they are, and then hung high for treason. No mercy for monsters who sell out their own country and hurt our babies.
Dolly Parton just broke decades of silence, and what she's saying changes everything.
In comes a big movie star, and with him, his date, who was a 12-year-old boy.
But here's what nobody is connecting. The dinners weren't just about abuse. They were about consumption. And the two most unlikely voices in Hollywood are now teaming up to expose what was actually being served at those tables. For decades, Hollywood's most carefully guarded secret wasn't hidden in vaults or buried in legal settlements. It was hidden in plain sight at private dinners, elite gatherings, and on an island where the guest list read like the Oscars and the menu was something out of a nightmare. Roseanne Barr has been screaming about it for years. She called them vampires. She said they drank blood. She said they consumed human flesh. And the entire world dismissed her as unhinged, unstable, a washed-up comedian who lost her mind and her career in the same week. But now, Dolly Parton, the woman who has spent 50 years staying out of controversy, refusing to pick sides, and keeping her opinions locked behind a smile and a song, has stepped forward. And she's not whispering. She's calling it treason. She's demanding castration and public execution for those involved. And according to sources close to both women, Dolly and Roseanne are now working together behind the scenes to expose the one thing Hollywood has protected more fiercely than anything else: what actually happened at those dinners. Not the parties, not the networking events, the dinners, the private ones, the ones where children were brought in as dates, and where the most powerful people on the planet sat down to eat something that was never supposed to be named. This is that story. Dolly Parton has made a career out of not making enemies. She's beloved by the left, adored by the right, and untouchable in a way that almost no one in entertainment has ever been. But that carefully maintained neutrality just shattered.
Everybody knows I don't do politics, she said during an interview cited by The Hill. My mother was a Democrat and my dad was a Republican. So I'm a hypocrite, she joked.
I'm an entertainer. I think of myself as an entertainer. Not that they're not, but I mean, I've got fans on both sides. I've got Democrat fans, I've got Republican fans.
That was Dolly for years, neutral, safe, diplomatic. But something changed. And what changed wasn't her political stance. It was her willingness to stay silent about what she's known for decades. Because Dolly Parton wasn't just an entertainer watching from the outside. She was invited to those rooms, she was offered seats at those tables. And according to people who know her personally, she turned them down every single time because she knew exactly what was happening behind those closed doors.
Well, honey, if those Epstein files show politicians and big shots and innocent children, then I say they ought to be castrated like the dirty dogs they are, and then hung high for treason. No mercy for monsters who sell out their own country and hurt our babies.
Castrated, hung for treason, no mercy. Those are not the words of someone who just read a headline and got upset. Those are the words of someone who knows exactly what those monsters did. And the fact that she's specifically calling it treason tells you everything. Because treason isn't just about hurting kids. Treason is about being compromised, blackmailed, and controlled by foreign interests because of what you did to those kids. Dolly understands the system. She's watched it operate for 50 years. And now, with the Epstein files open and names circulating, she's done pretending it doesn't exist. But here's where it gets even more explosive. Dolly didn't just break her silence randomly. She broke it because someone reached out to her. Someone who had been trying to expose this network for years. Someone who lost everything because she refused to stay quiet. Roseanne Barr.
After they kicked me off TV and said I was a threat to America and everything.
They called you a threat to America?
Well, something like that. A threat to Hollywood.
A threat to Hollywood. Not a threat to decency. Not a threat to public safety. A threat to the machine itself. And Hollywood responded the only way it knows how. Total destruction. They erased her show. They erased her character. They erased 30 years of legacy in a single afternoon. But they couldn't erase what she knew.
They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
She said it out loud, on camera, and everyone treated it like a joke, like a woman spiraling, saying anything for attention, but Roseanne wasn't spiraling. She was reporting. She was telling you exactly what she witnessed in those rooms, at those parties, at the last Hollywood gathering she ever attended before she packed her bags and moved to Hawaii.
In comes a big movie star, and with him, his date, who was a 12-year-old boy.
A 12-year-old boy brought as a date to a room full of A-list celebrities. And nobody said a word. Nobody called the police. Nobody stood up. Roseanne describes what happened next in chilling detail.
Lord
help me find my keys and get to my car. I had been drinking, like always. But I go, Lord, help me get my keys and get to my car and get the holy hell out of here and make it home safely. Please, Lord. And I ran for my life. And that was the last time.
She ran. The woman who built one of the biggest shows in television history, who fought network executives and won, was so terrified by what she saw that she literally prayed to make it to her car. And then she left Hollywood forever.
I moved to Hawaii. Couldn't be there 1 second longer than I had to.
She moved to an island, not metaphorically. She needed an ocean between herself and what was happening in those rooms, because what she saw wasn't just abuse. It was a system, a network. And at the center of that network were dinners that nobody was ever supposed to talk about. Now, here's where Dolly and Roseanne's warnings converge into something that the mainstream media will never touch. Because both women aren't just talking about abuse. They're talking about rituals, they're talking about consumption, and they're talking about the one obsession that drives Hollywood more than fame, more than money, more than power: youth. Hollywood is obsessed with staying young. Celebrities spend millions on treatments, procedures, injections, stem cells, blood transfusions from young donors. It's not a secret, it's an industry. But what Roseanne has been trying to tell you, and what Dolly is now confirming through her own sources, is that for the elite, for the people at the very top, those medical treatments aren't enough. They want the source.
They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
Vampires. And before you dismiss that as metaphor, as exaggeration, as the ramblings of someone the system destroyed, consider what we now know about Epstein's operation.
I acquired his little black book, and then I started calling victims in the black book. And they started telling me about being flown around and flown to an island. And at that point, I realized he was no longer a lone pedophile, but he ran a pedophile network.
A network with infrastructure, with logistics, with private jets, private islands, and private dinners. Epstein's job wasn't just to provide access to children. His job was to document it, to create leverage, and to bind the most powerful people on the planet into a system they could never escape. But here's the part that investigators have whispered about for years, and that both Dolly and Roseanne are now pointing to directly. The leverage wasn't just about what these people did to children. It was about what they consumed. There's a reason Epstein's island had kitchens that were staffed 24/7. There's a reason the flight logs show the same names returning over and over again. There's a reason that the people who went to that island, the ones whose names are now public, look decades younger than they should. And there's a reason Roseanne Barr has been calling them vampires since before the Epstein files were ever opened. The official story is that these gatherings were about abuse, about power, about control. And that's true. But what people are saying, what Roseanne has been saying, and what Dolly is now backing up, is that those dinners served something that was never supposed to be named: human flesh, human blood, taken from children, consumed in rituals that the elite believe grant them youth, vitality, and power. You think that sounds insane? You think that's too far? Then explain why Roseanne used that exact language years before anyone else dared to say it. Explain why Dolly Parton, the most non-controversial figure in entertainment, is now calling for public executions. Explain why the people on those flight logs, the ones who went to that island dozens of times, are the same people who look unnaturally young, who are obsessed with blood transfusions and stem cell treatments, and who have spent millions of dollars silencing anyone who asks questions.
The structure of Hollywood is if there is sort of pressure to do sort of things, or they have blackmail, there is a payoff. It's not like you're blackmailed and you're living in a hut. Like, you'll rise to the top, you'll have money.
Well, if you don't, you'll be finished.
Rise to the top or be finished. Those are the only two options. And the price of rising is sitting at those tables, consuming what's served, and never, ever speaking about it. Until now. Roseanne hasn't been shy about this. She has named names, publicly, repeatedly. And the names she keeps returning to are not obscure figures. These are people whose faces are on every screen, whose brands are worth billions, whose public images are built entirely on trust, kindness, and philanthropy.
I think it goes to the royals of the world, the kings and queens. That's how they get there.
Kings and queens, not Hollywood producers, not studio executives. The people at the very top of the global power structure. And the dinners, the rituals, the consumption, that's how they maintain their position. Roseanne has publicly connected the following names to this network: Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, Ellen DeGeneres, Lady Gaga, Bill Gates. Now, are these accusations legally proven? No, but here's what is proven. Every single one of those names appears in connection to Epstein's network, either through flight logs, event attendance, or documented relationships. Every single one of them has spent years building a public brand based on trust and goodwill, and every single one of them has stayed completely silent as the Epstein files have been opened.
I called her up and I said, just like this, you better shut your blanking mouth about me.
That's Roseanne describing a phone call she made to one of Hollywood's most untouchable figures. She's not speculating. She's not guessing. She knows exactly what she knows, and she's making sure they know she knows. And now, Dolly Parton is adding her voice to this. The woman who has refused to take sides for 50 years is now standing next to Roseanne and saying the exact same thing. These people need to be exposed. These people need to be tried. And these people need to face the ultimate punishment for treason. Because that's what this is. When you're compromised by a foreign intelligence operation, when you're blackmailed because of what you did on that island, when you're making decisions that hurt your own country because someone owns you, that's treason. And the Constitution is very clear about what the punishment for treason is.
Well, honey, if those Epstein files show politicians and big shots and innocent children, then I say they ought to be castrated like the dirty dogs they are, and then hung high for treason. No mercy for monsters who sell out their own country and hurt our babies.
Hung high for treason. Dolly Parton just said that out loud to real people outside Dollywood. And the fact that she's willing to go on record with language that extreme tells you she's not guessing. She knows. So how does this all connect? How do private dinners on an island turn into a blackmail network that controls Hollywood, Washington, and global power structures? Let's walk through it. Step 1. You're invited to a private event. It's exclusive. It's elite. Everyone who matters is there. You feel honored just to be in the room. Step 2. Something happens at that event that you're not prepared for. Maybe it's a child brought in as a date. Maybe it's something served at the table that you're told is special, rare, life-extending. Maybe you participate. Maybe you just stay silent. Either way, you're in the room when it happens. Step 3. You're told subtly or directly that what happened in that room was documented, filmed, recorded. And now you're part of it, whether you want it to be or not. Step 4. You're given a choice. Rise to the top or be finished.
The structure of Hollywood is if there is sort of pressure to do sort of things or they have blackmail, there is a payoff. It's not like you're blackmailed and you're living in a hut. Like, you'll rise to the top, you'll have money.
Well, if you don't, you'll be finished.
And that's the system. That's how it works. You get the penthouse, the awards, the foundation, the global platform. But the price is permanent silence. You will never speak about what you saw. You will never name names. And when someone like Roseanne tries to expose it, you will stay quiet and let the machine destroy her.
As soon as they heard that, a lot of cabals here in Hollywood, that's all they needed to hear. It's like, okay, destroy. She must be destroyed.
She must be destroyed.
She must be destroyed. Not corrected, not fact-checked, destroyed. And they did it in 24 hours. But the people she named, the people she accused of being part of a pedophile network, of being vampires, of consuming human flesh, they kept their careers. They kept their platforms. They kept their seats at the table. Until now. Because Dolly Parton just joined the fight. And when the most beloved woman in American entertainment starts calling for public executions, people listen. The Epstein files are open. The names are circulating. And for the first time in decades, the people who run this network are actually nervous.
There's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should.
The Vice President of the United States just confirmed on camera that he's following up on coded language in the Epstein files. The exact kind of coded language that got people like me deplatformed, demonetized, and destroyed when we talked about it in 2016. Pizzagate wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was early reporting. And now the second highest office in the country is admitting it publicly.
I was working on getting the Anthony Weiner laptop because I want to see the files that are on this. And while we still had Attorney General Pam Bondi, she had sent me over to the FBI, and there is no active search warrant on that computer. And so they are saying that I am unable to view it without a new search warrant. And there has to be new information. I think these Epstein files give us new information to look into the Anthony Weiner laptop. Yeah. I absolutely want to know what was on there, what was the secret folder that was titled Life Insurance, that had frazzle.rip, where people get the Frazzle Drip story from.
Frazzle Drip, the video that was supposedly so disturbing that FBI agents who viewed it are no longer alive. The video that was dismissed as the most insane conspiracy theory on the internet. And now a sitting member of Congress is saying she's going to subpoena the laptop to view it herself.
FBI agents who went in and viewed this laptop, many of them are not alive anymore. And so, I mean, what is it with this laptop? Apparently, it's been said that many have committed suicide. That it was so disturbing.
I don't know if someone would have done that because of what they saw on the laptop, but maybe they were privy to some information that they should not have been privy to, and other things were done for them to be no longer with us.
FBI agents dead, a laptop labeled life insurance, a folder called Frazzle Drip, and a congresswoman who's now saying she's going to use the Epstein files to get a new search warrant. This is not going away. The machine is losing control, and the two women who have been screaming about this for years, Roseanne Barr and now Dolly Parton, are finally being heard.
You know, everything is a mind trick to get us to kill ourselves and each other, isn't it?
Mind tricks, distractions, culture wars, manufactured outrage, all designed to keep you from asking the one question that matters. What was really being served at those dinners? Dolly Parton and Roseanne Barr are telling you the answer. The Epstein files are confirming it. And the people who run Hollywood, Washington, and the global elite are doing everything they can to make sure you never connect the dots. But it's too late. The names are out, the files are open, and the truth is coming. Make sure you're subscribed because this story is just getting started. If you want to see the full breakdown of every name Roseanne has exposed, that video is right here. I'll see you there.